Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. Let's quickly stir the political pot, of course, bubbling within Nigeria's newly energized coalition, the African Democratic Congress, ADC, a party now caught in a whirlwind of influence, ambition, and let's just say many presidential aspirations. Well, behind the scenes, deep pockets negotiations are clashing with grassroots loyalty.
That's right. The ADC, previously seen as a third force underdog, has recently attracted heavyweight political personalities, including one particularly dominant voice, allegedly vying for the presidential ticket.
The question now is, will ADC hold together under the weight of power plays from prominent figures, or will the party head for fragmentation before 2027 even begins, if not properly managed? Join us for this discussion as chairman of the African Democratic Congress in Lagos State, Mr. George Ashiru, and Director of Communications at Lagos Chapter, Madam Mabel Oboh. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central. I'd like to start with Mr. Ashiru with us in the studio. We've seen the former Vice President just last week tender his resignation letter from the People's Democratic Party, and I want to ask you if he's officially joined the fold of the ADC, and are you expecting him to join if he hasn't?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The idea of a coalition, those who have already gathered themselves together in the early part of July to identify with the coalition and the African Democratic Congress, ADC, as the bride in the political world. So every individual also knows the Constitution, and they have to go and fulfill the constitutional method for being involved, part of which is you must resign from your political party that you currently represent, and then you must go to your ward of the ADC and register at the ward. And some may have already done so, but they are waiting for the unveiling. Nobody just wants to go and say, I've joined. Not at that level. They are going to go and do the right, the needful at their states, and then when it's time for them to make the public declaration, you will see a huge fanfare all over the place. And I think it's part of the strategy, overall strategy, just to keep sure that, to make sure that we are part of this, and it's going to be coming in sequence. So very clearly, he's made it very clear. He's shown himself to be involved, and due to everybody else you saw on that day.
Are you open to everyone joining your party?
That is why it's coalition. It's a group of all Nigerians. There is, and there will never be a discrimination. As long as you have not violated the Constitution of Nigeria, you're not a convict. Anybody who feels that they adhere with the ideology of what we stand for as ADC and have chosen us, then that means they have seen what they believe is,
even with the unwritten, the gentlemanly zoning formula.
You will never know if it was written or unwritten. We are the ones that are going to announce it to the world when the time is right.
All right, let's bring Mabel into the conversation. Mr. Ashiru here has talked about the Constitution, saying that everyone is welcome so long as they're not flouting the Constitution and they're aware of the ideology of the ADC. What is the ideology of the ADC, and are there concerns that maybe there'll be a fraction of the several different ideologies that are coming together to form one huge coalition?
Is that answer for me? Is it a question for me?
Did you get the question?
No, I didn't get that question.
Okay, I was asking about the ideology of the ADC. What is the ideology of the ADC? And are there concerns about possibility of future fragmentation, seeing as there are different people from different political parties with different ideologies coming together under one big coalition?
Well, to begin with, ADC ideology is very, very clear. What we are, we're a party that believes in the people. So, we're the People's Party. We put the people first, all the way from the grassroots to the top. Yes, there are people that are going to be coming with different ideologies, knowing that we have various political parties in Nigeria. But this is a coalition, and we are putting a mechanism on ground, where, everybody have to abide by the rules, and the regulation and of the way to run things. In other words, while we have the people at the forefront, we also are going to have the people, the bureaucracy of the party, the management, and so on. So things are going to be clear. At the very beginning, obviously, it's going to be overwhelming, the way it is overwhelming for the country at the moment, because everyone wants to join ADC. So when we talk about ideology, it's very, very, simple. We want to put the people first. We're a government that is concerned about the welfare, a political party that's concerned about the welfare of the people. So anyone that is joining ADC at this very particular time knows the problem in the country, and it's just the aim, what we want to achieve. And at the moment, I can guarantee you that we're all speaking with the same voice. All Nigerians, not just the top political players, the ordinary man, the people, down there, the people that cannot, afford, 1 square meal a day. We're not even talking about 3 now. We want the same thing. We want to take Nigeria back. So the whole big idea of ideology, yes, even in a home, people believes in different things. But for now, without actually, working too hard, ADC is speaking the same voice, using the same voice as the man on the street.
All right. Thank you very much, for highlighting that.
Yeah.
It is the party that is putting the people first from the grassroots level all the way to the top. And I want to bring that same question back into the studio here to Mr. Ashiru. And, to talk about, we often hear these things about political parties seeming to understand what they're about and having their ideologies set. But we cannot deny the fact that there's a possibility. Now everything will look rosy, but there's a possibility that somebody will disagree. There will be some form of fragmentation. Almost every major political party in Nigeria now has internal crisis. How does the ADC intend to navigate that? What mechanisms are being put in place to forestall that or to be able to tackle that when it happens?
One of the things I have done as a chairman in the state, and let me speak for my own state, is lots of groups that were already, that are coming in, are people we have known. We've known each other in the political field. We've interacted in different fora, including the one that the New Central organized. So everybody already knows what ADC stands for. I've been on your studio, many studios for over the past 2 years, explaining what we stand for. And as people are coming in, they already have an idea. In fact, they refer to me as a professional in politics, or what's the other phrase? A corporate politician. Because what we are looking for is this: the future of Nigeria, the image of the future of Nigeria, and the standards that we want are the things we already seen on TV in other nations. And we have them well articulated in the statement of purpose. So when you join, the first thing you get is the statement of purpose and the constitution. What does that tell you? This is how we want to run things. So when the big wigs come, we tell them we are big too. We just happen to be in a tiny, beautiful enclave called ADC. But we are big in terms of ideas. We are big in terms of character, the capacity to deliver. Each of us, we all have individual capacities that we are brought in. We just choose a party that is willing to think of the people first, rather than the ones that are sharing power. So that's why we came to ADC. If we all wanted power and to be commissioners and ministers, we would have gone to the ruling parties. We choose a party because we think this is what this party is really talking about, the people for a change. Now, what has happened is that it is that language they heard that made them come to us. It's that language all of these people heard and said, okay, we choose your party because you appear to represent the sort of ideas. You see, corporate culture starts from the top. So if the culture in all these parties you're seeing that everybody's complaining about is because at the time these parties were created, the idea was, let's grab power. Now, we have not been in power, so we've had 19 years to perfect our craft. We've had 19 years since 2006 to decide what we stand for, and we've built it, and we're sitting in that same place without worrying about people coming into us and changing us because we've had a whole generation.
But people argue that that's what the coalition is for, to grab power.
The coalition is to provide a credible alternative. You have to keep remembering what we stand for. A one-man shake across the country and a credible alternative. That's the motto of the party. Credible meaning we are providing the credibility of the political process that will deliver to people precisely the kind of governance they're looking for. So if it is just to grab power, then what you are going to find is that one person will simply come and take over the party and use it to grab power. But when you bring different people together, it neutralizes each other.
But there's also worry that there are too many chefs, too many cooks, and like they usually say, of course, it's going to spoil the food.
Oh, there will be.
However, who is going to be the front man? It's the question
cannot,
everyone is asking. That's one. I'll leave you to who's going to be the front man.
Yes.
Two, we've seen someone in charge of communications in terms of the national. We've seen that. We've not seen the presidential candidate, which tracks back to my first question. The other aspect people are also talking about is what is it that ADC has accepted that the SDP denied? Are you sure this would not in any way ruin the ADC at the end of the day?
So let me go to this idea of high presidential candidate. We don't run things like that in ADC. We don't anoint people ahead. We have a primary process, which is still at about almost a year to go. And people are going to put their hands in the gauntlets, and the delegates will choose who will be their various candidates. Presidency, governorship, Senate, House of Reps, down to the state houses of assembly. So there is no such thing as anointed candidate. It's going to be everybody put your hands on the plow. So let us even remove that idea. Now, the difference now is it's going to be a keen competition between people who have the same desire to make Nigeria better. Now, yes, you are going to have this experience of different, groupings within the party who have supported or who are supporting one particular candidate, and that's what democracy is all about. That's exactly what we call multi-plural democracy. If we practice it within, we can practice it without. Then the second issue you're talking about is whether SDP was not accepted. I really don't know SDP as a party. What I do know is this: our party has always preached collaboration and coalition, always, for years. 2017, we were leaders in the coalition movement when some of the groupings that were under General Olusegun Obasanjo, who was former president of Nigeria, came with his supporters to ADC. That was going back to 2017. So clearly, what is happening right now is many years of saying that you can't go to war with just troops. You need Air Force, you need Navy, you need all of these things. So we cannot govern this country with just us thinking this is the only way to do it. We need all these talents, groupings of capacities coming together. And this is where all Nigerians feel represented. Because in this coalition, everybody in the coalition speaks for somebody who is a Nigerian. There's somebody here who's representing the Eastern interest, Northern interest, South-South interest, Western interest. So this is really a coalition of Nigerians. And it is a movement, because all you need to do is go on WhatsApp. There are over 100 Lagos ADC groups already that we didn't create. People who used to be this have converted their WhatsApp groups to ADC. They used to be Obedience, they call themselves ADC. They used to be this, they call themselves ADC. And we see it as a movement. So we are now responding to them. We're not even providing leadership yet, because we're still doing mobilization. Then after the settling, then we will begin to unveil the way we're going to harmonize in order to move forward. And that's something that every general in one knows how to do.
Now, I'd like to bring Madam Mabel back into the conversation. I know we're having a national discussion here about the ADC, but I'd like us to bring it back home. And when I say home, to Lagos State, where you're the Director of Communications of the Lagos ADC chapter. Now, we just concluded local government elections in Lagos State. I would like to know your opinion on that. I also want to know if the ADC is really interested in putting out a formidable gubernatorial candidate to unseat the APC Lagos, because in our 26 years of uninterrupted democratic experience, it's been an APC government, even though it's metamorphosized from the days of Alliance of Democracy to what it is. It seems Lagos is almost guaranteed to produce an APC governor, regardless of what the situation on ground is. If you drive around the city, vast swathes of the city, in the night, it's darkness. It doesn't reflect the center of excellence the state claims to be. And with any little rainfall, streets are flooded, drainages are clogged, and come every other election season. Even with this, they swept all the local government elections. So it means The opposition in Lagos State is not really pulling its weight, despite the reality of ground.
Well, there's no question about it that the election that just took place was not free and fair election. And that has been going on. That's actually what Nigeria's problem is. But let's take Lagos. You find that all the local government, chairmen, they're all, selected. I wouldn't say, elected. People, mostly this particular election, they were not allowed to vote. I mean, you could see it everywhere. The news were carrying it. People were complaining. They went to the polling booths, but they were not allowed to, to vote. And there were this declaration. We actually have actually gotten it out there that we do not actually agree with what they have declared at the moment. And that's why, this coalition is taking place. Things are going to change. Come, 2027, we are going to see a change in Lagos. We're going to see a change in the way, we vote. And we're going to see, that, there's going to be a free and fair election in this, in this state. What is going on here, even in Nigeria, is appalling. And Lagos State is no exception. We have no democracy here, and it's a good thing that all the various political parties have come together or are coming together at the moment. It's a process, and we're getting there. Unfortunately, it just happened to be in, just during the time, that the election, took place. We didn't have any election. We just had selected, candidates and put, in position by the APC government.
All right, can you
Okay. Even add to that is that as chairman of the state, even on your channel here, I'd already established the fact that we do not even agree that it's constitutionally right to have elections in local governments that the Supreme Court is still not very clearly agreeing with in terms of the 37 LCDs. So we have constantly pushed this narrative that get these LCDs to become local governments. Lagos needs 70 local governments. We don't have a problem with that. We have a problem with the fact that we can't endorse what we think is illegality by going to participate in it. So yes, we initially intended to have candidates and across all the local government, but that issue was not settled. It was only when Lycée called a meeting of political parties, they now told us that, oh, there's a new law that was signed in January. And it was just given to us on the eve of the meeting for the local government election. We said, oh, we were holding back because we wanted to be sure that we were not participating in an unofficial and illegal process that our party at the national will now tell us we're going to go to court to challenge it. Only for us to hear that nobody in Lagos was given any information of any law that was passed in the National State Assembly and that was assented to by the governor. And we only heard that one in April or May. And it was going to affect the election we're going to have. So if you talk to almost any political party in Lagos, they will tell you that it's been a painful process to prepare for this local government election. Information withheld, nomination forms not given out. Even when they were given out, people paid. They were not received. The documentation that was needed for their accreditation, they were telling people, go and bring them. Then they didn't let them come into the offices. There were lots of things wrong with the process. And that has been in the, in fact, IPAC did a press release on this matter. So, we have a problem of not understanding that so far our democracy constitutes the right to vote for our dictator. We still haven't understood this, giving people the right to actually freely choose who they want and making the process free and fair. And that's what ADC now wants to change. That's exactly why I said you are going to see the evidence of internal democracy in ADC, where nobody is going to be imposed as a presidential candidate. Nobody's going to be imposed as a governorship candidate. The whole world, we are going to see the process in which we're going to get all these people through our primaries. And that is the example that we want the rest of the nation to see. Governance in action within the party and then,
How do you prevent your primaries from becoming an auction? Because we've seen money politics play out in Nigeria, and that's what it seems to be. The highest bidder, we hear thousands of dollars being exchanged amongst delegates to vote for a preferred candidate. What mechanisms as the ADC put in to avoid this? Because this is Nigeria, and politicians, being politicians, will certainly want to use monetary influence.
So I can say that the last election in 2023, when we had the 2022 primaries, when we had the contested governorship primaries, I called the two candidates together and I said, what are the things that are required to make this fair and fair? And one of them said, we want to make sure all delegates, the party is in charge of bringing them to the place, not one candidate. And both agreed to fund it together. They say, okay, we're going to put equal amounts of money together, and the party can distribute it to all the local
terms
governments.
of transportation.
In terms of the key thing usually is transportation and everything. And we did that just to ensure that nobody's buying the candidates, nobody's saying come. If there were underground deals that we do not know, of course, there's no way we can stop it. We can't know. We can't be going to people's houses to say, did somebody come to meet you to give you inducement? It is only when there's evidence that there's inducement that is contrary to a party's constitution that we can take action. But you cannot completely rule out the fact that in a political contest, there will be people who will sell their conscience. But what we are attempting to do as a party is to minimize the influence of it on the result by having umpires that are unbiased. Because the umpires really matter. By having a screening process to make sure the wrong people don't even appear as aspirants.
In the first place.
You know, even as aspirants. Then the delegate system is constitutional. We know for a fact that delegates to states primaries are usually so and so and so and so and so. And as long as they are in office, and they're the ones that are going there. And where there is evidence prior to the contest that somebody has violated the party's rules and regulations, then the committee in charge will take the appropriate action. Ordinarily, there is almost no way you can prevent people from having interests or interest groups, especially with this kind of coalition. Let me give you a classic example. There are people who are coming to this coalition who are supporters of a particular candidate from the last election.
Absolutely.
Clearly, their passion is to support their people. They are not likely to be induced by the other party because that's why they came into the coalition. They came in because they wanted so-and-so to become president. And this is a perfect way to balance it out. It means now that if we have 5 groupings that came as part of the coalition, and each of them has a presidential candidate, none of them is going to receive inducement from the other because they came in to support their own candidate. And that's neutralizing everybody. All right, that's a good way to go forward.
Is still a member of the ADC?
He has not yet joined the ADC officially.
He hasn't joined officially?
He hasn't joined. I mean, it's clear that he's still in Labour Party. He has said it so many times. But that doesn't mean he won't join. Election is still 2 years.
Because there's a report about Kachikudu, maybe the 2023 presidential candidate of the ADC, stating that the whole ADC structure is set up for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar.
No. There's no such thing. You know, opinions are different from facts. You know, that's an opinion. Fact of the matter is that the people who are joining the ADC right now, the pioneers of the coalition movement tends to be the PDP. And that's why the presumption is, it is because he has already made it, he has resigned. And he has therefore given the body language that, okay, those of you who are my followers in PDP, you know, let's move. So when Obi is ready to do the same, you're going to see the same. And so on and so forth with Rufai and Amici and all the people that have showed themselves already in the party at the national level. So they follow their leaders, which is part of why I said these are all experienced politicians, and they're going to neutralize each other when it comes to this sort of malfeasance.
But, okay, let me bring in Madam to join us very quickly on this question. Are you not in any way worried that some of those who have signaled interest in the ADC currently have been pointed or fingered to have caused a lot of economic challenges, especially for Nigerians, in the previous administration, talking about the time of the late former President Muhammadu Buhari? And many have said that the ADC is like a landing ground for them to just jump in and try to win the sentiments of Nigerians again, because there's no way you would point the issues that Nigerians had to deal with under the former late president without having to mention some of their names, and now they're with the ADC. So in other words, is the ADC looking like another PDP APC that we are seeing? Because it's the same people, same things they did before. What has really changed? As a communications person, how would you be able to clarify this? Because that's exactly what we see online. Nigerians are saying is the same old same.
No, this is, a very, common assumption by everyone, but you must understand that these people, they're actually interested in forming this coalition. Yes, they've been in previous government before, but now what is happening is we have a crucial problem in Nigeria. And we need leaders, and these are the leaders that have been there before. They've performed their various, roles in the past. But ADC, coming to ADC as a platform, is also to use, the ideology of ADC, what we believe in, what we want. And I said earlier on that at the moment, we're all, speaking with the same voice. We want a common goal, that is to take back Nigeria. And this is actually from the ground to the top, from the top all the way to the middle, then down to the ground. People are hungry. Their facilities are not working. It's worse off than it's ever been, before. So it's expected that the people that are experienced to come together and lead the way. It's not as if, this is not going to be, a free and fair democratic way of selecting, the next set of leaders. But we need people with experience, to guide us, So, for example, we're not just going to pick someone that's not an administrator, for example, your job there now. They say, okay, you guys are not doing very well. And all of a sudden, they're just going to bring someone that has no experience to come do, your job. It's not going to be possible. We need people to groom over. And that is the process ADC is going to take. We're a people's government, believe in people's government, we're a people's party. And as the state chairman earlier said, everyone that's coming to ADC actually understands what ADC stands for. And no one is just going to come in and start changing things. What we want is the people with the experience to guide, the ones that are not experienced, to come out. There are people very, very qualified to do this job. You will get to see this when the time comes for people, with getting candidates. You will see that the due process that we're going to follow is going to bring the people, that you've never seen before, but that are qualified for the job, to come in. So this is just a temporary thing, that we're all seeing the old faces. Nothing has changed. It's not only Nigeria. If you take the West, you see the same thing. If you take, America, it's still the same thing, So we intend to follow the due process. But one thing for sure, at this early stage, people are going to talk, we just, say as an opinion, not fact.
All right.
But all the, worries of the citizens, that you and I are going to have, they're all going to be addressed. The most important thing is the people, they want a change. And that change we are ready to give. All we want is, for them to have confidence, in us, and we'll show them that this is the right way, to have democracy.
All right, Mabel,
As
Oboh.
I said before,
Thank you.
One thing we have in common, we have one voice in this very matter.
Thank you very much for, sharing your thoughts with us regarding the ADC, where the ADC is, and, where the rest of the country expects or should be expecting to see the ADC. Thank you for joining us, the Director of Communications, Lagos Chapter of the ADC, Mabel Oboh, and the Chairman of the ADC in Lagos State, Mr. George Ashiru. Thank you both for your time.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.